It says here that I just uploaded a video reviewing Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, starring Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet, Kirsten Dunst, Mark Ruffalo, Elijah Wood, and Tom Wilkinson. I don't remember doing that. I don't even know what this film is about. Well, I guess I should check it out. Today, we're going to be watching a beautiful philosophical film about love, heartbreak, and the nature of relationships and experiences. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Now art lost and gone forever, dreadful sorry Clementine.
Michel Gondry is one of those artists that is so obsessed with visually creating something new and interesting that oftentimes people don't even know what they're looking at. Whether it's music, videos, or films, he genuinely does try to push the envelope with something visually interesting, with a whimsical approach and inventive manipulation that normally would result in coherence and pacing issues. However, often in madness, there is method, especially when one knows how to delegate and cooperate, and for Michel Gondry, that is best demonstrated with this film. Taking this idea of playing around with memory, he entrusted it to screenwriter Charlie Kaufman, being a very talented deep thinker who was perfect to tackle its philosophical depth, identity, and exploration of the human condition. With Gondry trusting Kaufman to handle the structure, while he focused on giving that structure visual life, their partnership created possibly the best work either of them have created in their respective careers. And that work, of course, is the much-appraised classic, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Now, for context, these special effects not only make perfect sense in this story, yet what is more remarkable is that, believe it or not, this is not CGI. Say what you will about Michel Gondry, but when it comes to visual creativity, he knows how to bring his imagination to life. This is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And with that in mind, let's begin the grind. So the movie starts off with a very sad Jim Carrey, waking up and getting on with his day, finding out his car has been dented, and for some reason feeling the need to ditch work to impulsively go to the beach in the middle of a freezing February, surprising himself since he's not an impulsive person. He also has 2 years of his diary missing, while he appears to be depressed and alone.
I'm incapable of making eye contact with a woman I don't know. Maybe I should get back together with Naomi. She was nice.
It must be said, Jim Carrey has incredible acting range. I wonder how he plays a broken man in this so well.
I was very heartbroken, and also the feeling that that person had erased you. I felt like I had been erased. When I met Michel Gondry, and he said, "You're so beautiful. You're so broken. I love this. Please don't get well." The movie wasn't shooting for another year, so he asked me not to get well. That's how f***ed up this business is.
After these two spend enough time noticing each other, she decides to introduce herself, asking if they've met before. They're both clearly attracted to each other, yet he's reserved, not talking much, so she does the work, breaking the ice talking about different names of hair colour.
Green Revolution, Red Menace, Agent Orange. It's called Blue Ruin.
Her current hair colour is called Blue Ruin? That sounds like some kind of resigned sadness and reflective sombre sorrow over what has been lost, akin to the dying of winter.
Snappy name, huh? My name's Clementine. Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling, Clementine. You were lost and gone forever. Dreadful sorry, Clementine.
That's an interesting name that Kaufman decided to give her, from a song of a bereaved lover who mourns the accidental death of his beloved.
I'm incapable of making eye contact with a woman I don't know.
It must be said, these two appear to have a high degree of on-screen chemistry, balancing each other out in a way that just feels natural. Writing this kind of chemistry realistically is not easy, and the only other example that comes to mind is Jimmy and Kim from Better Call Saul, having this lightning in a bottle kind of connection.
Two blue wounds.
2 what?
Two blue wounds. I'm gonna marry you. I know it.
Okay.
After spending not that much time together, they really hit it off, and the next night they have a date on a frozen lake, enjoying each other's company, staying out all night. When the feelings hit you, they hit you like lightning. It appears these two have a good future ahead of them. Oh, okay then. I guess we're skipping forward a couple of years to the breakup.
You're so beautiful. You're so broken. I love this. Please don't get well.
So yeah, this blue and ruined character called Joe is heartbroken that his Clementine were lost and gone forever, having left him, deleted his number, and pretends like he doesn't even exist, having already started dating someone else.
Patrick, baby boy. Let me know if you need something, sir.
Why would she do that to me?
Firstly, that transition is incredible. And again, not CGI, that was actually done by being all one set. While his friends are having a marital argument, they tell him the reason why she did that was because she had her memories of him erased at a clinic that erases people's painful memories, for profit.
You should not have seen this. I apologize. Ms. Kraczynski was not happy, and she wanted to move on. We provide that possibility.
And if erasing your memories doesn't work, our second line of treatment to provide that possibility is heroin. Joel, being heartbroken, slowly accepting she just deleted him from her life, can't take the pain anymore, and gets them to perform the same procedure on him.
Is there any risk of brain damage?
The procedure is brain damage, on a par with a night of heavy drinking.
And if the memory erasure and heroin doesn't help you move on, a night of heavy drinking is our third line of treatment. He asks him to get rid of everything from his place that reminds him of her, not unlike how people actually do when trying to forget an ex. They use this to scan his brain to find the parts that contain his memories of her, and then they basically zap those parts of his brain away in his sleep while he's dreaming of them. Or to put it another way, for a paycheck, this company is basically selling a highly advanced lobotomy to people who are weak and vulnerable. Not too dissimilar to how the assisted suicide industry prey on the helpless. And to highlight this, the business is depicted as highly unethical, with its employees acting very unprofessionally, treating his house like an Airbnb, drinking on the job and stuff, as well as stealing from their clients, among other things.
Patrick, baby boy.
Patrick?
Patrick?
I have a girlfriend now. Remember that girl we did last week?
That's this guy's girl.
After we did her, I kind of went to where she works and asked her out. I stole a pair of her panties is what. Jesus.
So it's not enough they're drinking on the job and treating their client's place with a complete lack of respect. But Baby Boy here outright stole Clementine's panties and then asked her out pretending like he didn't even know her, using the information she gave him in confidence to try and manipulatively attract her. As a writing method, it's a fairly clever way of helping the audience figure out how they should feel about this company.
Patrick, you stole a girl's panties.
Why are we laughing? But it's more than that, since their lack of professionalism somewhat botches the procedure, leading to Joel to become somewhat aware he's dreaming, lucidly aware he's having his memories of her erased, in reverse order, starting with the memories of going to this company, and then the last memory he has from her before she left him.
This is the last time I saw you.
Hey, her hair colour! It's now Agent Orange! That sounds like some kind of destructive, conflicting phase where initial attractions turn into sources of mutual irritation, akin to the dying of autumn. It turns out their final argument was from her staying out all night, getting drunk and denting his car, her starting to feel like their relationship is a boring prison, and he's annoyed at her lack of responsibility driving drunk and not getting in until 3 in the morning. They exchange some hurtful words, and she dumps him, storming off. With one leg? That is the last memory he has of her before she erased him. And he, lucidly knowing this is a dream, expresses his anger towards her for erasing him and telling himself he's happy that he's erasing her. There is no better lie than the ones people tell themselves. Then we see earlier in the relationship what led to this point, getting to the point of going out to eat and not enjoying each other's company.
Are we like those bored couples you feel sorry for in restaurants? Are we the dining dead?
That is the best description of that I have ever heard in my life. You see couples in public like that all the time, that go out to eat and just spend the night on their phones, and you have to ask yourself, what the hell are you even doing together? These two are fed up with each other, He doesn't like that she drinks too much, pressures him to open up with his thoughts and feelings as much as she does, and he doesn't like how irresponsible she is. And likewise, she doesn't like how boring he is being okay with leaving the shower dirty, or how he doesn't communicate enough with her about his feelings and thoughts. And she wants to have a baby with him, yet is hurt he doesn't regard her as responsible enough to be a mother. Opposites attract and complement each other, yet are often unable to understand each other, and hence are resistant to change and make sacrifices to meet more in the middle, which is what is required to make a relationship work. She doesn't understand his need to have his own private thoughts and logical security, and he doesn't understand her reckless need for novelty and change. He won't change his lack of communicating his feelings and thoughts, and she won't change her need for constantly seeking new experiences to the point of instability. And because of that, them getting fed up with each other and breaking up was inevitable. However, the more he goes back in his memories, the more he realises it's not that simple, starting to get to some good memories that he doesn't want to forget.
Pretty. Please let me keep this memory. Just this one. I could die right now, Clem. I'm just happy. I'm just exactly where I want to be. Clem? I want to call it off. I want to call it off.
But enough about that. It's now time to check up on Clementine in the real world, going to Frodo the baby boy for comfort. It's been a week since she erased Joel, and she's falling apart in true Blue Ruin fashion, and she doesn't know why. All she knows is she feels the need to either go to the beach or said frozen lake, so baby boy takes her to the lake, while reading from Joel's diary pages to manipulate her and make her fall in love with him in the same way she did with Joel.
I could die right now, Clem. I'm just happy. I'm just exactly where I want to be. I want to go home.
It would appear Joel is subconsciously living rent-free in her head, and she can't merely forget him or replace him with another.
Focus. I hired them. Okay? I'm so stupid.
Sweetie, calm down.
Hey, her hair colour! It's now Red Menace! That sounds like some kind of honeymoon phase of passion and thrilling excitement, tinged with danger akin to the heat of summer.
You erased me. That's why I'm doing this.
I'm sorry. You know me. I'm impulsive.
That's what I love about you.
He teams up with his mental manifestation of how he remembers her, which is just another way of saying his subconscious, trying to figure out how to stop the erasing. She comes up with the bright idea of taking her to parts of his brain where she doesn't belong, such as his childhood memories, imagining her as his babysitter.
Wait there. My crotch is still here, just as you remembered it.
Yuck.
Long as you don't forget the important things. Though naturally, this plan doesn't last long since the erasers need to continue their job at risk of him waking up half-baked. Then they figure out how to erase the new made-up memory and get him back on track. He keeps living out more of his good memories with her, repeatedly trying to hide her in new places, futilely only delaying the inevitable. In the meantime, Mary the secretary tells her boss some quotes.
I'm your secretary. Do you like quotes, Howard? Blessed are the forgetful, for they get the better even of their blunders.
That's Nietzsche, right?
Yep, that's Nietzsche alright, arguing that being able to forget one's past can be a form of strength, allowing individuals to create themselves anew. And this matches this business's dogma quite well, that you can move on by simply forgetting your painful experiences, putting the idea of ignorance is bliss into practice.
How happy is the blameless vessel's lot, the world forgetting by the world forgot, eternal sunshine of a spotless mind, each prayer accepted, and each wish resigned.
This one, that's also the title, is derived from a poem by Alexander Pope called Eloisa to Abelard. This poem is the story of a nun in a convent who writes to her former lover, tormented by memories of their past love, in conflict with her religious vows, wishing she could just forget to make the pain stop, yet she just can't forget him. When examined deeply, these two quotes appear to contradict each other, the movie appearing to call into question whether or not ignorance is bliss is true or not, where there is no bliss without suffering. Ignorance, or a spotless mind, is not bliss, it's merely emptiness, and it's not much of a choice either.
I'm happy to eat.
I've loved you for a very long time.
Well, it looks like Mary Jane really wants Howard. He comforts her, letting her down gently, making it clear he has a wife and kids. And at all possible times, his wife turns up out of the blue, thinking he's having an affair. But why does she think that? Because he already did have an affair before, with Mary. These two have already had an affair in the past, and after it ended, I guess after his wife found out, he pressured Mary to erase her memories of it, I guess so he didn't need to rehire someone else to replace her. Kaufman really did go out of his way to make this company as unethical as possible. We get to the point in Joel's memories being the day he asked her out, and this one scene alone has at least 2 really good lines.
Too many guys think I'm a concept or I complete them. I'm just a f***ed-up girl who's looking for my own peace of mind. Don't assign me yours.
There's a lot of wisdom there, that relationships never meet our fantasies, because it's not a fantasy, it's real life living with another flawed person like the rest of us. Never expect another person to fix your flaws, since they have their own flaws to deal with. Only person in this world that can deal with your flaws is you. What's more interesting is the further back he goes, the more introspective he becomes on this. Almost like he's willing to make those needed changes.
If we could just give it another go-round.
Remember me. Try your best. Maybe we can.
Then we see the first day they met, on that beach, and hey, her hair colour! It's now Green Revolution! That sounds like some kind of beginning of a fresh start or renewal, akin to the budding optimism of spring. We see him here at his most introspective, being the last memory of her he has left, being resigned, almost like he's learning to appreciate what he took for granted before.
That orange sweatshirt that I would come to know so well and even hate eventually. It was so intimate, like we were already lovers.
It's gonna be gone soon.
I know.
What do we do?
Enjoy it. I thought maybe you were a nut, but you were excited.
I wish I had stayed.
Reaching that point of acceptance, they have their goodbye, and it needs to be said the cinematography is truly beautiful, depicting this sense of love and loss fantastically, almost like his life is slowly flashing before his eyes. And yep, now his memory of her has been completely erased, and now he can move on with his life. So later that day, he wakes up, only to find his car has been dented, 2 years of his diary missing, and feeling the impulsive need to ditch work to go to the beach in the middle of a freezing February, where he meets a woman who likewise felt the need to go to the beach without consciously knowing why. Or in other words, this is the story of 2 people in love who are clearly soulmates and best friends, in the process of trying to remove each other from their lives and thoughts, because those memories of love and loss are too painful. Yet no matter how much they try to forget, they can't completely erase each other and move on, being part of each other now. Why does something tell me she's going to dye her hair green a few days after this? But before we get to that, here's a wrench thrown into the mix. You remember Mary? Well, after finding out she had this procedure herself, reading her file, she does a complete 180 on what she believes about this, believing this practice to be wrong. She quits her job, yet not before stealing everyone's confidential files and sending them back to everyone, and will no doubt go to jail for stealing hundreds of people's medical histories. This new couple that only met a couple days ago now get to learn that not only they've already had a long-term relationship, yet they also get to find out in gruesome detail what they think about one another in the least charitable way.
He's boring. Like he changed me. I don't like myself anymore. I can't stand to even look at him. That pathetic, wimpy, apologetic smile, that sort of wounded puppy shit he does.
I couldn't really talk to her about books. She's more of a magazine reading girl. Vocabulary leaves something to be desired. I was embarrassed in public.
With the hair. It's all bullshit. I don't think her sex is motivated. It wasn't sexy. It was just sad. I think she's so desperate and insecure that she'll sooner or later go around and everybody.
Now, other than the fact she clearly does read books in the film, and how awkward that would be, yet what is most interesting is all of their criticisms they have with each other are the very things that initially attracted them that they fell in love with in the first place. And that is totally realistic, and not something you see depicted in fiction too often. What we desire, respect, and love in someone tends to be what we are missing from ourselves, in true opposites attract fashion, balancing each other out. Yet what often happens is people tend to idolise those very traits, and it's only after spending enough time intimately with them do we also learn to hate them, seeing the less than idealistic sides of those traits. This touches on concepts of the shadow in Jungian psychology, the idea that we are often both fascinated and frustrated by qualities in others that we deny in ourselves. No one is perfect, and that's why deep long-term love invariably comes with a lot of ambivalence. Couples that have been together for like 80 years all say the same thing, that even though they love each other as much as the day they met, they still always have times they can't stand the sight of each other. That is what real relationships look like, not this Disney propaganda expectation we've all been raised to expect. She decides to leave, all of this getting a bit much, and he chases after her, knowing it's just wrong. There's clearly strong feelings there, yet she feels like it can't work out, since they'll just end up breaking up again. That in time he'll get fed up with her impulsiveness, and she'll get bored and feel trapped with him. And only at this very end of the film does he make a sacrifice, with one simple word.
Okay.
He gives up his need for logical order and safety, accepting the future chaos of their relationship, rather having that chaos with her than not having her in his life. And she likewise makes the sacrifice, accepting his acceptance, and a life with him will be occasionally hard and boring, not all fun, happy times. They run off playing on the beach, with the same clip repeating a few times, like a skipping record player, and presumably both live happily and unhappily ever after. And with all that said, that was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. A highly complex story that can be difficult to follow, that brilliantly captures the highly messy, salinical nature of relationships.
Thou art lost and gone forever. Dreadful sorry, Clementine.
This film isn't perfect. For some, the pacing may seem a bit confusing, the B-plot characters are a little underdeveloped, and arguably it could be said to be romanticising dysfunctional relationships. However, I don't regard that last criticism as particularly valid, because much like real relationships, the film is far more nuanced about that. Couples in love that have spent their lives together, not a single one can't identify with conflicts as depicted in this film, because that is how relationships are. John N. Gottman spent his life scientifically studying the nature of relationships, and he came up with some interesting results, being most famous for his ability to predict with a high degree of accuracy whether a couple will divorce at some point in the future or not after just listening to them speak for a few minutes. He found that couples that never argued on anything and never had times where they were fed up with each other were highly likely to separate at some point in the future, far more than those that did routinely argue. His research showed that what distinguishes relationships that last from those that don't is not the absence of conflict, but rather how conflict is managed and resolved. Truth is, loving relationships are messy by nature, but it's how that mess is dealt with that's important, and this film shows that process very visually. Using hair colour to depict their relationship cycle as the seasons of weather, and ending the film with the last clip repeating, some have argued that they're doomed to repeat this dysfunctional cycle forever. Yet I don't think that is the case, since the dysfunction ended with them both being willing to sacrifice for each other at the end. The Salinic cycle will go on, but the dysfunction ended, them both learning how to resolve their conflicts, knowing there'll be many in future. They'll start over, have fun and excitement, then issues will arise that will divide them, and then they'll both cry in their separate corners, and then start over again after resolving the issue. An experienced healthy couple can go through that entire cycle in a day. I can't actually think of any other film that depicts relationships this honestly and interestingly. With fantastic cinematography, philosophically, the film raises poignant questions about the nature of love and pain, challenging the viewer to consider whether it is better to have loved and lost or never to have loved at all. Truth is, memories, even painful ones, are integral to our identity and personal growth. In effect, by trying to erase painful memories, you're futilely trying to erase the parts of yourself that grew and matured from your experiences. That in life, much like what makes the difference between a relationship that lasts versus one that doesn't, you need to face your pain and conflicts in life head on, not run away from them. These two, they have their happy and unhappy ever after, mutually accepting the good with the bad. For only by accepting the necessary hardships of life do you also get the fruits of life too. So that's the end of the show, and remember, likes and shares are always a treasure, watching the ads helps the algorithm glow, join the Bear Army on Patreon. Don't be slow. Oh. Well, that was a good film and a good review. I don't understand though why I would have erased my memory after uploading it though. Oh, I didn't! I just got blackout drunk.